This lovely lucite statue is definitely for Rachel Lloyd, who you just saw in the video. It's her choice where she wants to display it, and you'll hear more about her in just a moment. It will surprise absolutely nobody in this room that I identify as a feminist. In fact, if it does surprise you, I suggest you take a look around the room and make sure that you're not lost. You know what luncheon this is, right? The Men's Rights Association meeting is actually happening at a P.F. Chang's in New Jersey, and I hear it started already, so you should get moving. I always tell people, particularly angry internet commentators, that there is no such thing as a perfect feminist, and I am no exception. Some phrases that have left my lips in the past: what a hoe, hey hooker, sup slut. Some songs I have lip-synced to: Big Pimpin', It's Hard Out Here for a Pimp, Age 13, my best friend Emily and me screaming along to Sublime in her bedroom, Annie's 12 years old, 2 more she'll be a whore. Here's the tricky thing about language. It lies about how powerful it is. When I used those words, I felt subversive, naughty, strong. I did not realize how these songs, these words, were not ways for me to reclaim my feminine power. In fact, they silenced and shamed the women they purported to describe, and they reduced them to objects, or worse, punchlines. They celebrated the exploiters, and they hid the exploited. I began thinking about these ideas of power as I learned about the work of Rachel Lloyd and GEMS, and the hundreds of girls and young women they serve, all of whom have been domestically sex trafficked and exploited. From the beginning of each girl's story, somebody else held that power. From the sexual abuse and violence she experienced growing up, which made her so very vulnerable, to being shuffled through child welfare and juvenile justice systems ill-equipped to handle her trauma, to eventually meeting someone, a pimp, a trafficker, who sold her to men who pretended not to notice just how young she was. And despite this clear lack of agency, we as a society somehow think that a 14-year-old runaway has made the choice to be in the commercial sex industry. We call these girls names and judge them and write pop songs celebrating their assailants and their fancy sneakers. We think that locking them up will help them make better choices. We look at youth in the commercial sex industry in America as willing participants in their own victimization, ignoring the disenfranchisement that comes from being poor, from being a child, from being a girl of color, from being a homeless LGBT youth, from being a kid in foster care. We ignore what it must be like to be bought and sold by adult men and to spend your adolescence believing that this is what you are worth, that your voice doesn't matter, that you have no power. When I was raped, I felt powerless. I felt my value had been determined by someone else, someone who sent me the message that my body was not my own and my choices were meaningless. It took years to recognize my personal worth was not tied to my assault. The voices telling me I deserved this were phantoms. They were liars. So as a feminist and a sexual assault survivor, my ultimate goal is to use my experience, my platform, and yes, my privilege, to reverse stigma and give voice to other survivors. Thank you. Thank you. I see a lot of women I love right there and all around. Trauma can make us narcissistic and myopic, turning us inward as we struggle with what we have seen, felt, and repressed. But connecting with other survivors reopens our world. Instead of scrambling for power by silencing other women, we're able to mutually strengthen each other through collaboration and support. This is why I am so proud to align myself with Rachel Lloyd and with GEMS. Rachel has created a place where girls and young women can find their voice and reclaim that power. A place where they can get the love, support, housing, counseling, education, and employment that they deserve, that they have always deserved. GEMS fosters a community of strength and support where women and girls fight to ensure that voices which are silenced in our society and faces that are ignored are at the forefront of a new conversation. Just a few of GEM's many achievements that Rachel should be very proud of. Advocating for and passing New York's safe harbor for exploited youth law in 2008, the first state law in the country ensuring exploited girls aren't prosecuted for something they can't legally consent to. Over 70% of girls supported by GEMS get out and stay out of the commercial sex industry each year. And in 2015, they are celebrating the enrollment of 89 girls in school and 29 young women in college. They are enacting real, visible change, and I encourage each of you to make a donation today in support of this vital work. We here in this room are so blessed to have jobs we loved, safe homes, and communities who recognize our essential rights over our own bodies. Our donations to GEMS can pay some of this incredible luck forward. Simply go to gems/girls.com, gems-girls.com, no slash. Org, I've made a huge mistake. Burn org into your brain. gems-girls.org and click the donate button. I thank and honor Rachel, who knows that the only way to empower all women is to first empower those who are unseen and unheard. She's devoted her life and livelihood to this cause, fighting for a world where girls are not for sale. I am in awe of the strength and resilience of the girls themselves, and I'm grateful every day for the incredible gifts I have been given, particularly the gift of a voice and of people willing to hear it. So I want to thank Variety for allowing me to speak to this issue. I'd like to thank Rachel and the staff of GEMS, because of them, these girls and women are being seen, they're being heard, they're being empowered. Our world is all the richer for it, our sisterhood is stronger, our collective voice is louder. Thank you.
Ladies and